If you have ever experienced a glitch in the Matrix, I would love to read it. Please consider sending it my way. Just go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to do so. And of course, thank you. I followed this sub for years, and have had different instances happen, but this time I actually have physical proof of the glitch, and I wanted to share my story. So, I want to give some context first. I'm a caregiver for a 100-year-old woman. I live with her part-time and I manage her care. One day a few weeks ago, she told me to call 911 because she was having a lot of chest pains. She has a history of heart attacks. I called 911 and EMTs showed up within minutes. Now here comes the glitchy part. I let them in and one man specifically comes to talk to me about her medical history, if she has any family, etc. He's asking me who I am in relation to her, and I'm explaining to him that I'm her caregiver. While I'm having this interaction with him, I notice that his eyes are super intense. It's like we have this silent understanding that we're almost going through the motions, and like we are in some kind of matrix or something. It's really hard to explain. He had a specific type of mustache that really grabbed my attention as well. Think slight handlebar. Meanwhile, the other EMTs are taking my client's vitals and telling me that everything looks okay. That they said she's basically being dramatic. Okay, so here's the meat of the story. The EMT that I'd been talking to asked to speak to my client daughter on the phone. I make the call and talk to the daughter. As I'm about to give the phone to the gentleman, I for some reason just get super nervous and I say, okay, here's Officer Smith. Not the real name. I was reading his name on his uniform as I spoke since I realized with all the commotion, I hadn't even gotten his name. The EMT then says, yes, Michael Smith. Soon after this, the EMTs leave and head home. I get my client tucked into bed safely, and I start finishing up my duties for the week. Her other caregiver was coming to relieve me for the weekend in a few hours. One of the duties that I do before I leave is to check the voicemail, and also look at the missed calls in case I missed something important. My client had been in the hospital a few days prior, so I had been spending a lot of time there. So I was paying close attention to the missed calls for the week. As I'm scrolling through the missed calls, I realized that the name Michael Smith is on the caller ID 2 days before this incident at 11 or so in the morning. I had such an out-of-body, eerie feeling. The only way I could make sense of it was that possibly he was calling the house line for fundraising reasons, but that also doesn't really make sense, because why would it be his name like it was his personal line? To note, his name is not really Michael Smith, obviously. I've changed the name for my privacy and his privacy, but the name was not super common. I just can't make sense of it. Lastly, I did get a picture of the caller ID because it was almost unbelievable when I saw it. I knew that I needed proof. Even though I had the picture on my phone, I went and tried to look at the missing calls again because I was still doubting what I saw. When I went back to the caller ID, that call was not there anymore. It's possible that I accidentally deleted it, but it just seems strange. I would appreciate any thoughts or theories, because I'm still a little freaked out. I'm genuinely freaked out over this, and I'm trying to find an explanation. So, I'm generally a bad ring wearer. I don't like how they feel despite fitting perfectly. I take my wedding band and engagement ring off during the night without realizing, and I go searching the sheets on a weekly basis. I'm also pretty forgetful, and will take my rings off and forget to put them back on for days at a time. I'm struggling over here. A few weeks ago, I was making pizza dough and I took my rings off, as I do, so they don't get dirty and sticky. Back to being forgetful, I completely forgot for multiple days, until I went to put my rings back on and realized they weren't on my nightstand. Remembering I had made pizza and had taken them off, I check all my normal kitchen spots where I might put my rings, though usually it's somewhere obvious like the cutting board, counter, etc. Somewhere I would see every day. And I couldn't find anything. I searched for days. Despite being a terrible ring wearer, I do love my husband dearly, and was absolutely distraught at losing them. They aren't expensive or monetarily irreplaceable, but I just was absolutely heartbroken over losing them, because they mean so much to me, and from a sentimental standpoint, they are absolutely irreplaceable. After spending a whole day searching, I gave up looking, but I figured eventually they would turn up, at least hopefully. I doubt anyone would have thrown them out by accident, mostly because no one cleans up my kitchen. But as forgetful as I am usually pretty observant and am careful when I clean, so as to not just throw anything away in my path. But I digress. My husband comes home from work that evening and immediately goes, "Awesome, you found the rings. Where were they?" To which I tell them that I didn't find them. Cue his laugh, because they were on my finger. I'm still beside myself thinking about it. I searched for days. My husband helped me search. There's absolutely no way I was wearing these rings. The only possible explanation I can concoct is that I came about them outside of my searching, like when playing with my daughter, brushing my teeth, or doing some other task, and instinctively put them back on without realizing it. As mentioned, I often put things in obvious places, so maybe it just didn't jump out in my brain as lost item found when I came across them, because they were in a usual place, but I don't know. It's the strangest thing to have ever happened to me. Hi, Raven. First of all, I want to say how much I love your channel. It's gotten me through some dark times over the years. I think this counts as a glitch in the Matrix story, and I apologize in advance for the length, but I feel that certain details are necessary, because this one experience changed my entire outlook on life, and gave me hope in a time where I had none. I'm sharing this story because I think there are others who are suffering in their own lives and feeling hopeless right now, and I'm hoping that by sharing this, it might restore hope in your listeners who might need it. This was in 2017, and I had recently moved to a new city where I didn't live near any friends or family members. This was a particularly hard point in my life, because I had just escaped an abusive marriage and was trying to start over fresh in a new place. I was driving a rusted 1997 forest green Chevy Cavalier at the time, because I was broke and couldn't afford a better car. That car had been giving me trouble lately, and as long as I've had it, because it was 20 years old at this point and something seems to break down on it every other week. But it was all I could afford to drive at the time. I was driving on the highway on a crisp autumn day, and this day had been a particularly bad day. You know, one of those days where you've had enough and every little thing gets to you and everything seems to go wrong all at once. I began to feel my car start to sputter, and it started shaking as I tried to drive it. Oh, what now, I thought to myself. And as I mentioned, this was a particularly horrible day, where everything was going to go wrong all at once. And I just needed one single thing to go right in my life right then. So, this was the worst time for anything to go wrong with my car. My bank account had a near $0 balance, and I could not afford to fix or replace any further issues with this car. After it started to sputter and vibrate a bit, I heard a loud popping noise that scared the life out of me, and my car was beginning to drive more slowly than usual, even though I was flooring the gas pedal. I panicked when I realized that I had to get off the highway and pull over to the side of the road immediately before I got into an accident. So, I put my emergency flashers on and steered my malfunctioning car to the side of the highway. I know it sounds strange, but it was like I was only able to pull my car over at the very last second, with not a second to spare before it died, and before I got into an accident. It was strange, and I cannot explain it, but in any event, I steered toward the side of the highway and turned my car off. This was the last thing I needed that day. I tried to start my car again and it just made a sputtering sound, and the ignition would not engage. I don't know much about cars, but I know that this isn't good, and that I was in trouble. I sat back in my seat and gave up trying to restart my car out of frustration after several failed attempts. What could I do now? I don't have the money to fix any more problems with this stupid car, and I can't afford a tow truck to tow me somewhere. I don't know anyone in the new town, and I felt very helpless and alone in this moment. I'd had enough that day, so I lost it and began to sob uncontrollably. After about a minute of this, I suddenly heard a voice telepathically say to me, "It's going to be okay." Now, I'm a very skeptical and logical person, and this didn't make any sense to me considering I could not pinpoint where this voice was coming from when I heard it inside my own head, and I was not the one saying it. No, I don't use drugs and I don't have any mental health issues, and I've never suffered from hallucinations before, in case you were wondering. I looked in my rearview mirror and immediately saw a red sedan pulling up behind me, which then stopped. I watched through my rearview mirror as a very tall man with shoulder-length blonde hair stepped out of the red car and approached mine. I don't know how to explain it, but there was something strangely familiar about this man. He was very tall and somehow felt different than other people, in a way that I cannot explain in words. He felt very loving, safe, and kind as he walked up to my driver's side window. He briefly made eye contact with me, and I could feel so much love and kindness emanating from him, even though I can't explain how. "Can you please pop your hood for me?" he asked me, without vocal words. I was taken aback and flummoxed when I realized he was speaking to me inside my head, telepathically, without moving his mouth at all. And even if he had been speaking out loud, I wouldn't have been able to hear him because I had not rolled my window down. Yet I understood every word he was saying. I popped the hood of my car and waited. "This will only take a minute," the kind man told me telepathically. Now, like I previously stated, I'm a very logical person and quite skeptical, but even I could not deny that this person was talking to me telepathically. So I popped the hood of my car and waited. I felt my car sway from side to side as he was doing something under the hood. I don't know what he was doing, though. What I can tell you is that it would take a lot of muscle power for a single man to make my car rock from side to side this much, and it rocked my body as he did. I had no idea what he was doing, since he was hiding behind the hood of my car, but he was very clearly doing something. After only a few seconds, maybe 10, he emerged and told me telepathically, "Can you please try and start your car again real quick?" So I turned my key in the ignition, and perhaps by some miracle, My car started immediately. I was in shock. Who was this man? How did he just fix my car that quickly and without any visible tools? He nodded and he closed the hood of my car and began to walk back to his car, after making brief eye contact with me again before he left. "I could just hug you," I exclaimed telepathically. I felt more grateful than I can express in words. He briefly held his hand up before he walked back to my car. "It's not necessary." And with that, he walked back to his car, and I was in shock. He didn't ask me for anything in return. He had just fixed my car for free for some reason, knew exactly what was wrong with it, and was talking to me telepathically. What the hell just happened? I felt like I might be going crazy until I realized that my previously broken down car was now inexplicably running perfect again without any mechanic fixing it, and I had objective, observable proof that I was not. I felt stunned, and I sat frozen in my car for what felt like forever before I looked in my rearview mirror again. And I know it sounds crazy, and if this had not actually happened to me, I wouldn't believe it. But his red car literally vanished right in front of my eyes. It disappeared right in front of me, and I watched it happen through my rearview mirror. In 1 second, the red car was behind me with him sitting inside of it, and the next second, it was just gone. I do not understand how this is possible, and I have given up trying to rationalize it logically to myself. I have no idea why this man helped me so generously, and for no known reason. But before I gathered myself and tried to merge back onto the highway, I heard that same voice say to me telepathically, "I told you it was going to be okay before, and I meant it." This was the same telepathic voice I heard before, and I felt paralyzed. I couldn't seem to move or drive away until I heard this person out. "I know that you don't remember me, but I remember you, and I want you to know that I have loved you forever, and I will love you forever, and you need to do nothing to deserve this love or reciprocate it. It just is. My love for you is endless, timeless, and perhaps I've loved you over many lifetimes." I was paralyzed, and I felt an overwhelming wave of energy take over that I can only describe as endless, unconditional love. I began to cry again, but they were good tears this time. I could not actually move my body no matter how hard I tried, but I distinctly remember trying to move my arms to roll my driver's side window down because I felt too hot. It was one of those old, non-automatic crank levers. But I could not actually move my arms to do it. I felt paralyzed, and as this person spoke to me telepathically, it felt like his words were resonating inside of my soul in a way that I cannot describe in words. I had never met this human being before once in my entire life, and I had no idea why he was acting like we knew each other. I was finally able to unfreeze for a moment and ask him telepathically, "I've never met you before. Are you an alien or something?" "Perhaps I'm an interdimensional alien human from the future. I'm someone who has loved you through many lives and timelines. Sorry that is confusing, and I understand that you can't remember me." What does that even mean? I wondered to myself and tried to ask him telepathically. What the hell is an interdimensional human alien from the future anyways? I promised that I was not high or drunk when this happened, but he didn't answer me or talk to me anymore. He was just gone. Again, I am a rational person and I wanted answers, but he never answered my questions, so I was just left wondering what the hell I had experienced. If I'd been making all this up in my own mind, my car wouldn't have been running and functional again after it broke down earlier, without any mechanical service. I have no way to logically explain what happened, why he seemed so familiar, or who this man was. In any event, I thought this experience was worth sharing. And, by the way, I never had any more problems with my car after this. I cannot logically explain away what happened to me, but I wanted to share it because it restored my hope during a time in my life where I had none. And I hope that by sharing it, it can do the same for others. Life gets so hard sometimes, and I think many of us feel like we're drowning in hopelessness, and we feel so alone sometimes, and maybe we can't imagine anyone existing out there who loves us without requiring anything from us in return. But this experience proved otherwise to me. This one experience completely changed my life. Please let me explain how. After this happened to me, I began to see things differently, and without knowing how or why. I was slower to anger and now have the psychic capacity to see things from other people's perspectives, in addition to my own, in a more expanded way that I wasn't able to before. I'm now able to empathically feel and psychically see what other people are feeling and thinking, as if their thoughts and feelings are my own. Yeah, I know it sounds crazy, but it was like after this happened to me, I saw and felt how we are all connected through time and space, and when you hurt another, you are actually hurting yourself, as we are all one. I can now see and feel how we are all connected to one another in a way that I can't explain. It's almost like time and space mean nothing, and love is the only thing that truly exists or matters. After this happened to me, I began to see connections all around me that I was never able to see before. Before this happened, for example, I would pass a broken down car on the side of the highway and not feel anything. I really didn't care much about the person with the broken down car. But after this happened, I now feel something I don't know how to describe in words. I feel really sad when I drive past someone else broken down on the side of the road, and now I don't feel okay unless I try to help them. I want to help others now, and have become a kinder, more compassionate person all around. I cannot ignore the suffering of other people and animals, even if I could do so in the past. This one experience has made me a better person, and I try to help others now whenever I can. Anyways, thank you for listening to my story. I know it was a bit long-winded, and I hope that everyone listening to this now feels less alone or hopeless, and more loved than before they heard it. No matter where or when you happen to be inside of this matrix, no matter who or where you are, know that you can make the world a better place by being more selfless and kind. And kindness never hurt anyone. So, I'm not sure if this qualifies, but it's been almost a decade since this began and I still have no explanation. In my early 20s, I went out dancing a lot, and I knew a lot of people this way as it's a pretty small town/community. For this reason, I gave people rides home often. Like I would run into them doing errands even, but always people I knew or had contact info for. Well, this one morning, I'm giving my friend Vince a ride from one end of town to the other. He pulls out a green/purple crystal ball. I think fluorite, maybe. And he tells me laughingly that I must have lost my marble. I explained that it wasn't mine, though beautiful, and that someone must have dropped it when they got a ride home. So I posted about it on social media, and I texted all the friends that I'd recently given rides to. Other people thought it was weird, but no one ever claimed it. Fast forward a few months or so, and I'm deep cleaning the same car, and I find a matching crystal orb. It's slightly different coloration, but when I compared it to the other, they seemed to clearly be a set. So I reached out and posted it again, with a picture of the second. Again, they go unclaimed. I had just accepted that I must have forgotten someone or lost track of them or something, and I chalked it up to just one of those things. Until about a year ago. I've moved 5 hours away to a new city, and no one ever visited our place. Like, I could list on one hand probably how many had. Well, I had the 2 other crystal orbs on the shelf in the living room, and was looking at them one day. I picked up the closest one and thought something about it was odd. It seemed smaller, and a different green, and I couldn't remember ever noticing the unique pattern on one part of it. I was about to write myself off as having a bad memory, until I noticed that there were 2 identical ones still on the shelf. I asked my boyfriend when he got home about it. We texted the few people who had ever been in our apartment, asked family and friends if it had been a gift that we didn't remember, and nothing. So 3 of these things just appeared. 2 in my car close together, which was totaled before I even moved, and 1 later in my apartment in a new city. If the situation were different, I might think it's an ongoing joke or something, but for that long? Also, I looked up these crystals, and they aren't exactly cheap, so it'd be a weird game to play. Tell me what you think, or if you have an explanation, because I'd love to hear them. Okay, so this is a bit of a story. 2 years ago, I bought a Wii Fit platform for exercise at an extremely, reasonably low price. My friend in New York said that she was looking for one also, and the universe listened. I walked into Goodwill about a month later and saw one, and I bought it for her. Sometime later on, months later, I found one of the little feet for the Wii Fit in my bedroom. So I contacted my friend, and I asked her if she was missing one because I had all 4 of mine. She said she would get back to me, but then never did. So I assumed that she didn't need it, and the extra just showed up in my house overnight out of nowhere. These things happen sometimes. And fast forward to earlier this year in May, and I was moving and I picked up my Wii Fit, and I noticed that one of the feet was missing. So I thought that's where the extra foot came from. But I thought that that was kind of strange because I'd been using my Wii Fit board, and there was never a problem with any missing feet. It wasn't uneven or anything. Fast forward to this month when I moved, and I pulled out the Wii Fit board and noticed that all 4 of the feet were there. Okay, so I still had the extra foot floating around. Tonight, I go to the bathroom and I pull out this little plastic box that I keep under the sink that has first aid and other health-related things in it like alcohol and peroxide and bandages, so forth. And while I was putting the alcohol away and getting ready to put the box back, I noticed in the bottom of the box was another Wii Fit foot. I thought it was weird, and I'm like, what is this doing here? I went into the living room and pulled up my Wii Fit board and all 4 feet were there. I said, well, does this mean that I now have 2 of them? I put the board back in the living room, went back to the bathroom to close the box, and sitting on top of the bandages was a 3rd foot. I went to the bathroom and found the original foot that I had floating around, so now I have 3 of them. Hi, Raven. This happened not long ago, and I just wanted to share it. My dad was driving down the road when we spun out, and we hit the median. We're both fine, but we've seen some bizarre things since then, to say the least. In another of your stories, someone mentioned that they saw a man in a wheelchair riding up a hill nowhere near any houses after a car crash. We saw that too. I used to be able to flip a coin like nobody's business. Now, I just fumble around with the coin. In my middle school, we have a class every other day, except for my electives, or fun classes, different languages, art, etc. We have those every day. Now, I had math on a Tuesday. The day before the crash, I was going to have it again on Thursday. Only now I have it on Fridays, after the crash occurred. Last night, I was listening to music with my phone in my hand momentarily. I'm vibing, and I go to put it down on the bed near where my head lays when I sleep. I grab my water bottle off the floor and turn around to hear something crash. I turn around and my phone is now under my bed. I know the only explanation to this would be that it slipped through the cracks at the beginning of my bed, but I didn't put my phone that close to the crack, so it wouldn't fall. I had to raise my mattress to grab it, and I rest my phone on the crack only to see that it doesn't even fit through. Not only that, but I remember how I laid it, and did it again. There's no slope, no nothing, it's just flat. So, I was very creeped out. I forgot about it though until today. I was in the bathroom, using its usual stuff, but at the end, my other phone, I have two, was resting on the tub, and the other one, the phone that dropped the previous night, was on my other side on the counter, because I wasn't using it at the moment. I finished using the bathroom, and I specifically remember standing up to put my pants on. I had not touched the toilet. I picked up my phone that was on the tub, and I remember thinking that I didn't even want to do that without washing my hands, and I put it in my pocket. I took my other phone and my AirPods and put them in my other pocket and go to the sink. I wash my hands and look over, and realize the toilet seat is now down. Now I'm just trying to remember when I even did that. There was no reason for me to let the lid down since I had already flushed before getting up. After I was done washing my hands, I took an alcohol wipe to wipe my phone and things down. I'm still confused, and now I kind of think I'm going crazy. Both times it happened when I was listening to music. I don't drink and I don't smoke, so I wasn't high or anything like that. Hey Raven, I've been a long-time listener of your podcast, and I love your channel. And I'm ready to submit my first Glitch in the Matrix story. My story happened in 2007, in a suburb of Detroit, Michigan. Mind you, I have a big family, but at the time, I was staying at my older sister's house. And I have twin nephews, and an older nephew and a niece that also live at the house with us. So there's the backstory. Also, my twin nephews play a big role because, at the time, they were very straight edge. They were in middle school. So, I mean, they didn't really get into mischief or skip school at the time. Starting my story. It was a really nice, sunny day, and I wanted to skip school for lunch. My sister only stayed 3 blocks away from the school, so it was an easy walk to her house. So, I went to my sister's house and no one was there. It was about 11:30 a.m., so lunchtime. I was in high school at the time. I'm sitting in my niece's room on her bed, looking at the front door, which is about 20 feet away. I'm chilling on her bed, just hanging out and thinking what I'm going to do for lunch. The door opens, and it's one of my twin nephews, Anton. I just look at him, and he just looked at me, walks through, and then he goes upstairs, which is catty corner from the bedroom that I'm sitting in. Anton and T are the twins. Literally 1 minute later, my older nephew K-Swiss walks in, and he's like, "Screw that, I'm not going back to school. They can kiss my butt." I'm just like, "Kyle, shush. Be quiet. Anton's upstairs." Kyle says, "No, he's not. I would have seen him walking ahead of me. He's not here." Kyle runs up the stairs, looks in his bedroom, looks in the twins' bedroom, and shouted, "Where are you at? Stop playing." He then comes back downstairs and says, "Hey, Sam, Anton's not here." Shivers literally go up my body. I'm freaking out. I literally saw my nephew walk in the door and go upstairs. It just chills me because we didn't speak to each other, we just looked at each other. The house has always had a weird vibe, but to this day, I get goosebumps thinking about this. Anton was never in the house when I physically saw him. Not even 1 minute before K-Swiss, my older nephew, came in the door. I looked up my experience, and it pointed me to possibly having seen a doppelganger. Thanks for reading my story. I searched duplicating item glitch in the Matrix on Google, and it led me here, so I'm going to share this. Because this is the first time anything like this has happened to me, and it's weird. Yesterday I went to the store with my father and we bought 2 blue raspberry flavored waters. I know that there were 2. I carried them throughout the store. I put them through self-checkout. I carried them to the car. I carried them into the house. Because I was excited to try the waters. We got home and I put the 2 waters on the counter right next to each other. Then a few minutes later I moved them to a shelf, again, right next to each other. An hour or so later, I went to go get my dinner plate and I took one of the bottles of water off of the shelf. And I brought it to the couch and set it down on the couch next to me. My mother called for me, so I went to go see what she wanted. Maybe 10 minutes later, I come back and I see 1 bottle of blue raspberry back on the counter where I first put them after bringing them home. Just the 1 bottle. I get confused, so I looked at the shelf, and I see the 2nd bottle of water was still there on the shelf. I thought, oh, I must have brought my bottle of water with me from the couch on accident and just forgot. So I took the water bottle from the counter to the couch, only to find the water bottle I originally brought from the couch still sitting there, where I left it the first time. I now have 3 bottles of blue raspberry water, and I have no clue where that 3rd bottle came from. I asked my father, and he too has no clue where the extra bottle came from either. No one in my family knows, and we're all confused. So, a glitch in the Matrix was all I could think of. This is short and may not be that exciting, but at least twice when I was 7, I dreamed that one of my hermit crabs had climbed a plant to the top of his cage and was about to fall out. I woke up a bit startled, and sure enough, it was actually happening. I flew across the room, figuratively, my broom was in the closet, and caught him right when he let go of the brim of the bowl. So I put him back in, rearranged the plant, but somehow it happened again. So I trimmed the plant, and that fixed that. So, that, my friends, was this week's Glitch in the Matrix collection, the final Glitch in the Matrix collection for 2023. Yes, I know how I say 2023 will upset some people. I am sorry. It is a personal quirk that I cannot seem to get past. I have tried tremendously, significantly, numerous, whatever I'm trying to say there. I've tried a lot to not say 2000 and. But for some reason, I cannot get past it. So, this is the final Glitch in the Matrix story for 2023. A fantastic collection to finalize the year with. It is hard for me to accept that 2023, there, I didn't say and that time, is over, because it's been a year. Wow, it has been such a year. I'm glad it's over. I'm glad we're finally at the end. This past 60 days has just been insane for me. Has been just not a good time. So, we are now at the end of the year. We can look back and think about how good 2024 will be. How much adversity we've overcome in 2023. How many times we considered giving up but didn't. That's the important stuff. It's okay to have a bad time, as long as you remember the good times are around the corner. And they are. 2023 was a year of resilience. 2024 will continue to be a year of resilience. It will be a year of success. It will be a year of accomplishment. I have this feeling. So, let's all manifest it. Let's all manifest success, accomplishment, and whatever other word I said a minute ago. What word did I say a minute ago? Resilience. I had to go back and listen, but you don't know that because you can't tell that I paused my recording, because that's how good I am. Anyways, it's going to be a good year, guys. Let's manifest it. Let's make it a good year. We will. We all will. It's going to be great. I love you guys. Anyways, hopefully you all enjoyed the stories. If you did, please do hit that thumbs up button. If you're new to the channel and liked what you heard, consider subscribing, as it helps tremendously. That will help me be successful and resilient and accomplish things. And you can also join memberships or Patreon to get early access to content like this, as long as it goes up early. A little late on this one, my apologies. It happens sometimes. There's also the super thanks, which is just a tip to the channel. Never expected, always appreciated. And of course, if you have a glitch story or any kind of true story you want to share with me, go to astheravendreams.com and click the button to send it my way. Now, let's move on to the beautiful word of the week, the final word of the week of 2023. On the screen right now, and yes, I promise it will be on the screen this time. I won't forget. My mind isn't quite as stupid as it was 2 weeks ago. COVID made stupid brain, and that's okay. We not stupid brain no more. Why use many word when few word do good? On the screen right now is a collection of all the comments of people who left me a sentence with the word charge 2 weeks ago up to this week. From the video 2 weeks ago, because the comp didn't have... Anyways, thank you to each and every single one of you who went above and beyond to leave me a comment. You are all amazing. It's because of you guys these videos do so well. The interactions are always up, and that means YouTube say good job. Give me a pat on back. Say, we push video harder. And I say, thank you, YouTube. Thank you, you benevolent gods of the algorithm, for letting me be successful. Anyways, yeah, on the screen, thank you to every single one of you guys. You guys are amazing. Again, above and beyond. If you didn't leave a comment, that's totally okay. I don't ever expect anyone to, but I appreciate it. Now, this week, the word of the week is one that we shall be fabricating. That's right, it's fabricate. Fabricate, which means to invent or create, make up for the purpose of deception, construct or manufacture, specifically to construct from diverse and usually standardized parts. Now, if you hate this word and don't want to use it, just leave a comment saying, thanks, Patience, for this terrible word of the week. I'm not saying it's terrible. You've said it's terrible by saying that. It's not a terrible word of the week in my opinion, but it's one she gave me. I looked over at her right before I did the video and said, Patience, what's a good word of the week? And she said, I don't know, fabricate. So it's fabricate. I will also accept fabricated. Or any derivative of fabricate. Yeah. Okay. I hope you all have a beautiful day, beautiful rest of your week. Hope to see you again here very soon. But until then, remember, you are loved, you are valid, you are important, you're the best you that you can be. Do not forget it. Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Season's greeting. post Merry Christmas, Happy Boxing Day, blah, blah, blah. I love you all. And of course, sorry, just sleep well.